Welcome to the scope today. Today we're going to be diving in. We're going to be talking about exactly what you need to do to build business credit that's linked to your EIN and not your social security number. So welcome. First scope ever with Credit Suite to show you credit for your social security number or for your EIN that's not linked to your social security number. So again, for those of you that don't know me, my goal in life is pretty simple. I want everybody that wants to start a business or own a business to know what business credit is, how it works, and most importantly, how you can actually get it for your company. Even as a startup, regardless of personal credit, business credit's a fantastic thing that gives you an amazing amount of benefits that you'll rarely receive from anything else. So even though I'm big on YouTube and putting a lot of free information out there and a lot of other sources, I really wanted to make sure that I use this opportunity with Periscope to do some things that I've never done before, to do some things live right in front of you. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be the first scope. We're going to walk through it. I'm going to teach you exactly what business credit is, how business credit works. And don't worry, it's not going to be just pictures of me where we've got this nice little whiteboard here with all kinds of cool things that we're going to be going through. And I'm going to show you exactly how business credit works, even in a real world scenario. So you'll get a feel for everything about business credit. If we have time, we're going to also get into some business credit benefits. I don't want to probably go more than 15 minutes or so because I know you're busy. You're probably either starting a business or already running a business. And I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to do what you need to do, but still get good actionable information. And that's another thing that's important to me, is I want you to leave a scope with actionable information you can actually use to be able to actually build your business. Leave here with information that you can put to use right away. So what we're gonna do in Periscope and with these scopes is I'm actually gonna walk through and show you even a little bit more than just what business credit is, the benefits of business credit, etc. I'm actually going to do it for you live. It's never been done before. I'm actually going to start an entity and I'm going to walk you through the process of building business credit for a brand new entity. So instead of just having some crazy guy talking to you about what might be possible and showing you not very fancy graphics on a whiteboard, you're actually going to go through the process with me. We're going to set up an entity. We're going to make sure the entity is set up credible. We're going to go through all aspects of building business credit for this actual entity, so you can see firsthand exactly how this process works. So it's going to be pretty cool. A lot of things to come. Today we're going to be diving in, talking about some of the basics of business credit, what it is, how it works, etc. And then we'll take the next step and dive into, next week we'll talk actually a little bit more about some other things, including probably one of you that's following the scope will even pull up your business credit report so you can see how easy it is for people to access your business credit report, go through what are some of those items on a business credit report, and a lot of other cool things. But enough about what we'll do in the future. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. So today we're going to map out for you a little bit more about what business credit is. I'm going to talk to you about how it works, so you kind of leave here with an idea of all of those variables. So hopefully my signal will hold. I've only got about 2 or 3 bars here with Verizon. If I have problems, then I might come back and try to redo the scope. And if I still have problems, I've got a booster coming on the way from Verizon. So hopefully by next week, we won't have any connection signal. So excuse me, because I'm a little bit new to Periscope, so I'm still going to get used to some of the things like accessing where your comments and the such are. But for now, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the whiteboard. Let me see if I can get this pulled up, and then what we'll do is we'll go from there. So let me go ahead and whiteboard camera here, and then let me before I do want to pull something up on my computer just to make sure that we're actually getting a good signal and that everything is going good. Okay, so this is exactly what we're going to do. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through exactly how this process works, how to build credit for your EIN that's not linked to your SSN. So you might be saying, what the heck is business credit? What is this crazy guy talking about? Let me explain it to you with my ridiculously fancy graphics. Is that fancy? I mean, my art now at this point is the exact same stage it was when I was 5. It hasn't improved. Literally, my 5-year-old daughter can do better than me. But hopefully, you'll still be patient with me, even though the actual graphics and things like that are not as good as what they might be. And again, I wish I could see the comments on this. For some reason, I'm having a little bit of a tougher time actually doing so, but that's okay. So hopefully I'll figure this out as I go. Okay, so here's how this works. So here's you as an individual, right? And you already know that chained to you is your Social Security number. The Social Security number is what the IRS basically gives you to recognize you as an individual in the United States. And linked to this Social Security number is a consumer credit report. This is a credit report that you can create. It's comprised of different things that you purchase that actually report to the business credit reporting agencies. Could be auto loans, could be signature loans, could be credit cards, could be mortgages, could be any of those different types of things. So I'll give you a little kind of tip here, an insight that a lot of people don't know. Actually, this doesn't really exist. The credit bureaus don't actually have a credit profile on you. What happens is when somebody uses your Social Security number to pull a credit report, then the credit bureaus pull all the data they think belongs to you and they put it on a report and deliver it to whoever's inquiring. This is important to note because this is where a lot of identity theft actually takes place. What a lot of people don't realize is that your credit report doesn't exist. Information is populated onto the report that they think belongs to you, and it's not uncommon for things to appear on your report that actually aren't really yours. So if that ever happens, don't freak out. It doesn't necessarily mean somebody's stealing your identity. It's a good chance that one of these guys, TransUnion, Experian, or Equifax, has mispopulated information onto your actual report that's not yours. Just a little tip. So here you are, you have a social, you have a credit report, it's linked to your social. Here's what you might not know. Your business, if you have a business or starting a business, again, you've got to love my fancy artwork, has an EIN number. So I don't care what entity you choose. I don't care if you're a partnership or a sole proprietorship or corporation or what kind of entity you choose, and every entity you have has an EIN number. And linked to your EIN number with these little fancy chains, yes, these are chains for those of you that are criticizing my fancy art, is a business credit report. And a business credit report is provided by these guys: Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax Commercial. Now, these three reporting agencies basically get data that they believe belongs to your business on your business report, and they put it on to your actual business credit report. The same as what these guys do on your consumer credit report. Now, important to note that these two are separate. You can see that there's no link here in my fancy artwork between the two for good reason. Because your business has its own credit report and score, and you have your own credit report and scores. And the two are completely separate. This means if you own a business, you can have your own credit profile and score that's linked to your business and not linked to you personally. What's cool about this? A lot of different things. One of the cool things about this is the fact that you can build a business credit profile regardless of your personal credit quality. Even if this is bad, it won't matter because I'm going to show you how to build this where it's not linked to this, so the items that you get that report on this will not report on this, and what you have on here won't affect your ability to get things on here. Pretty cool, right? So this is what you need to know. This is not some kind of magic trick. This is just the way the world works. In the United States, you have a consumer credit report linked to your social. Your business has its own credit report linked to your business EIN. And this is important because whenever you apply for a loan, whenever you apply for anything, then what will happen, your business credit report will be looked at. So your business credit report and score will be looked at regardless of whether or not you give them permission or not. As a matter of fact, anybody can see your business credit report. They do not need your permission to see your business credit report. Anybody can look at it, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Right now, I'm kind of coming back and forth to my computer because for some reason, I can't see your comments. I'll figure that out later. Hi. To everybody that's saying hi, I just am having a hard time seeing the comments, but I'll get that part figured out as I become more of an expert on Periscope. So let's go back here and take a look at, actually, I think if I have the camera faced this way, I can see the comments, and if not, I can't. I'll learn. I'll promise you. I'll figure this out. Let's get to a real world. So let's talk about this in the real world. We've now established that your business has its own credit report. We've now established that it's separate from your personal credit report, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to see how does this really work in the real world. And before I do, I want to give you a couple resources in case you don't stay for the whole scope today. So there's a couple different things that I want you to be able to know at this point. First of all, here's two links: creditsuite.com /Periscope, creditsuite.com/consult. If you go to creditsuite.com/periscope, it'll give you a free guide that maps out exactly how to build your business credit step by step. If you go to creditsuite.com/consult, then you can actually spend some time. We'll talk to you more one-on-one about business credit, and you'll get a free business credit report and score. We'll actually give you your credit report and score at no cost. It's the only place you're going to find anywhere that you can get your report and score. I know I've looked. So give you some of those resources. Now, back to the education. Okay, so here's my other fancy graphics. So here's Staples, right? And I don't know why this image is blurry, but I will not fight Verizon. So let's say you want to go to Staples, right? And let's say you want to buy $200 worth of stuff. $200, this is actually my graphic for stuff. So you want to go to Periscope, you want to go to Staples, you want to buy $200 worth of stuff, but you want to use credit cards. You want to apply and use credit cards at Staples to actually do this. Okay, and again, these are my fancy credit cards. You'll love my very fancy graphics. So what happens is you say, okay, Staples, I'm going to give you my social security number. And what I want you to do is then pull my consumer credit report. And based on that, I'm going to flip this camera back to me and then back to this. Obviously blurry. I'm trying to figure out how that works. So let's try this one more time. So to this app. Okay, so we go to the, here we go, that worked. So the consumer credit report, they pull it, and this is what happens. If you have good credit, they approve you. They give you a credit card. If you have bad or unestablished credit, they decline you. This is what would happen. Now, if you go to Staples and say, hey, Staples, I have a business. Will you approve me for a credit card? They're going to give you an application. And guess what they're going to ask for? Your social, your EIN. So let's say you give them both. This is what happens. They pull your EIN credit, and the same outcome comes true. If you have good credit, they approve you. If you have bad or unestablished, they actually won't decline you. What they will do is then look at your personal credit, and if your personal credit is good, they approve you. If it's bad or unestablished, they decline you. So if you apply for a Staples business credit card, they ask for the EIN. No matter what happens, whether you know it or not, they pull your business credit report, and it's used in their decision. But if you gave the social to them, you've got some problems. Because two things are going to happen. They're going to pull your consumer credit report to determine whether or not you should or should not be approved. And you're personally guaranteeing this credit. There's a few problems that come from that. First of all, this credit's going to report to the consumer credit reporting agencies in a lot of cases. So even though you applied and you said, well, Ty, what are you talking about? I applied for a business credit card. You're right, but you messed up. You gave them this. And when you gave them this, what they did was they pulled this. And then now they're going to attach this to you and you're going to be personally liable. And in almost all cases, that credit shows up right here. Here's the problem with this. The problem is 30% of your credit score is based on what percentage of high credit you're using. So if you come in and you get these credit cards from Staples and they give you a $500 limit and you put your $200 worth of stuff on your $500 limit credit card, your FICO scores plummet. They drop considerably. So what we need to do is fix this. How do we fix it? How do we go to Staples and say, Staples, I want this credit card reported here. I don't want it reported here. I want it reported on my business credit report. The answer is simple. Right there it is. No social. So how you do this is you leave your social security number off the actual application. Now, a lot of questions are going to come up and I'm going to answer them all. First of all, it is fraud for you to ever put anything else in this space. So if somebody's trying to sell you some BS CPN number, don't do it. Because the idea behind CPN numbers is that you can use this in lieu of your social and get credit. It's not true. You can never use anything in the social security number field. It's against the law. You break 2 federal laws if you do that. Ever. Don't. What I'm talking about here is 100% legal. It's the way businesses get credit. What you do is you fill out the application with your EIN. You leave this blank. Now you're going to talk to people that that you have to put it in there. You're going to talk to people at Staples and they'll say, hey, wait a minute. You can't submit this application without the social. They're not trying to mislead you. The reality is they just don't know. They have no clue themselves that they can actually submit an application without it. They don't know. They're not trying to mislead you. They just are uninformed. They're uneducated. They don't know. So what you've got to know is this. You absolutely, without a doubt, can submit an application for credit for your business, and you do not need to include your social security number. And again, I'm coming back to my computer because I can't see your comments on this for some reason, which I'll figure out later, but on my computer I can. So what you do is you fill out the application for credit. You fill in your EIN number. You do not put your social security number on there. You've now forced them to pull your business credit back to the fancy graph. Go. So now what you're doing is you're forcing them to pull this and not this, which means they have to make the approval decision based on this, not this. So will this work? Kind of. And let me tell you what I mean. I'm going to switch back to me because it's board. Back to me, back to the board. Hopefully it clears it up, the image. This is what I mean. What I mean is that if this is unestablished, what happens? You get declined. So you can't walk into Staples and get a credit card for your consumer credit report if you have no credit. It won't work. You can't walk into Staples if you have no business credit established, give them your business credit report and get a credit report. It won't work. Remember, in either case, if your credit's unestablished, you will get what? Declined. Okay, so that's the problem. So if anybody's asking questions at this part, I truly apologize. When I'm done here, I'm going to go back in front of my computer where I can answer all your questions. For right now, I cannot figure out how to see the comments on this, and I know that that's an inconvenience to all of you, but I promise you I at some point will figure out how this works. So this is what has to happen, and this is what we're going to be scoping about. I'm going to teach you how to build a basic business credit profile here using what we call vendor accounts. I'm going to guide you and help you get approved with creditors that will give you credit even if you have no business credit report now, even if you're a startup business, regardless of your personal credit. They will give you credit, you can use the credit, pay the bill, then they report right here. Then that will give you trade lines. It will give you a credit profile. It will give you a credit score. Then we use this profile, trade lines, score to go back to these guys, and we apply for this money that we want in credit using only this without this. That's the key, and that's exactly what we're. So again, I don't want to probably make these scopes too long. I'm probably going to wrap this up, answer any questions you have for our first scope. Not too bad. I think you got a basic idea of business credit. I'm going to go back in front of my computer here where I can actually see any questions that you have, because I want to make sure all of your questions are actually answered. So again, an overview of business credit. Now you have a pretty good idea of how it works. This is credit that's linked to your EIN, not your social security number. And once we help you establish some basic business credit, then what's going to happen is we can then have stores, fleet accounts, Visa, MasterCard, cash credit cards, where you're using your business credit profile and score as the basis to actually get approved. So this way, you don't have to rely on your social security number. Your personal credit won't matter to get the money that you need for your business. You won't have to have a personal guarantee. Okay, I should apply for Staples, and I'm now in front of my computer so I can actually see your comments. Yes, you should, but don't do that first. You see, that's the problem. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they go to the store and start applying for credit. As I just showed you, you can't get Staples until you have some initial vendor accounts established, which we're going to talk through. I'm going to show you how to do. I just missed the other comment that came in, but again, if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and type them in. I'm going to make sure that everything you have here is answered, and then in my next scope, I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about business credit benefits. And somebody just said, my paydex score is an 80. Fantastic. Here's the question. Do you know what that means? An 80 score literally means you pay your bills as agreed. But I'm going to tell you a secret. Actually, guess what just happened? I just actually saw a comment. There we go. I've got the comments. Okay, so here's what you need to know. The Paydex score doesn't matter. Well, it does, kind of, because the quality of your score does matter. But what you need to know is that it's how many trade lines you have that matters. To go into Staples and get an account, you've got to have about 3 or 5 trade lines. So the fact that you have a Paydex score is fantastic. The question becomes, how many trade lines do you actually have? If you have 3, 4, 5 trade lines, then you could probably go into Staples right now. Where's my, but there we go. Go into Staples right now, and you could probably get approved. But the key is not just to have a good score, it's to have at least about a handful of trade lines before you move into Staples. So somebody asked, how do I do business credit? Well, we're going to talk through those steps. And again, I've got a great free resource for you. It's creditsuite.com /Periscope, where it'll map out the steps. In the next scope that I do, I'm going to talk to you about the benefits of building business credit. And then we're also going to get into an overview of the actual steps. I'll map out and whiteboard the steps, walk you through them, and then let's get to work. We're actually going to do it in real time so you can see it. During these scopes, we're also going to talk about loans, what it takes to get approved for loans, all those types of things. I just got funding for my business. Fantastic. And here's the question. What kind of terms did you get? How many trade lines do you have? Those types of things are important. Now, you did the right thing. You went and got an 80 Paydex, and then you got a loan. So the Paydex score is important. Your business credit score is important. And for those of you that don't know, Paydex is the business credit score offered by Dun & Bradstreet. So what matters is that will determine how much money you get, the rates you pay, the terms you pay. All those types of things are based on your business credit quality and score. So we've got Linsofab right now is saying, look, I got a loan. I got my Paydex up to 80. I went out and I got a loan. And I'm sure you would probably confirm right now that you were able to get at least decent terms based on that, depending on what type of loan you actually do get. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about. What you might not know is that even with bad credit, you can still get a loan. Even as a startup, you can still get a loan. There's a lot of different types of alternative financing that are available out there for small business owners. And we're going to talk through that during these scopes also. I'm going to map out exactly the types of... A lot of them don't want you to know, but actually, I really shouldn't say that, because the bottom line is conventional banks just don't offer a lot of the kind of financing that's out there. Over 90% of the loans that have come out there don't come from conventional banks. So they're things that they don't even offer, and I'm going to tell you about them. When is your next scope? I'm not sure. I'm not positive yet. But if you go to creditsuite.com /Periscope and grab the free guide, I will notify anybody here before the next scope occurs. I'm going to try to do at least one a week with this kind of information. And depending on how this works, I'm going to do even more and share even more with you. This is the first one we've done. Quill and Uline, Linsofab, yes, absolutely. Net 30 accounts. Uline and Quill are 2 vendor accounts that are great to get started with initial business credit. So I'm going to wrap this up. I really appreciate you joining me on our first ever live scope, and I hope you got some really good information out of this today. And now in our future scopes, we're going to decode this whole thing. We're going to decode it, and not only am I going to whiteboard the whole thing, but we're going to do it in real time right in front of you. I'm going to go through and start an entity and go through and show you the process from scratch so I can run into the same pitfalls you will, and then I can help you navigate these pitfalls in real time as it happens. Pretty cool. It's the power of Periscope. We're going to do it. Okay, so any other questions before I wrap out? Hey, thanks, Linsofab. I appreciate you following it and giving your insight. Hopefully you follow me on the next scope. Staples Business does well with no duns paused. Not sure what that means, but Staples commercial account is a pretty good account to have. We have a lot of clients that have it. Does Uline do personal credit check? No, it doesn't. Nobody will if you let you give them your social. That's the whole point of this. We're about to empower you. You don't have to provide your social. And if you don't provide your social, they can't pull your credit. What we've got to do first, though, is get you credit with creditors that will give you credit even if you don't provide the social. Then you establish the business credit. Then we start getting you into store accounts, fleet accounts, cash accounts, and as Linsofab even mentioned, Linsofab, I said it wrong, I'm sorry. Linsofab even pointed out, you can then start getting the basis to actually get loans. So hopefully you've enjoyed our first real scope today on Periscope, and hopefully you also enjoyed my absolute fantastic artwork. I mean, look at this. That's high quality stuff, right? and more to come. Follow us here on Periscope, and I appreciate all the hearts. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the questions and comments, and we're just getting started. A lot of great things to come. So thank you all very much for checking out our first Periscope. A lot more to come. And one other question before I go: when can I use my DUNS number for credit? Anytime you're applying for company credit for your business. Your DUNS number will often be asked for on applications for loans, and for you to actually get credit for your business. So getting approved with Dun & Bradstreet for your DUNS number is one of the first steps you'll take to get business credit, and we'll be talking about that in future scopes. So thanks everybody for joining us. More to come, where in the next scope we're going to be mapping out business credit benefits, and then we're going to be diving into the actual steps to build business credit. So thanks for following. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you check out our 2 resources as well here, creditsuite.com/scope. Actually, let me turn this around here and show you this way. And make sure you check out resources right here. creditsuite.com/periscope is where you can grab a free 4-step guide that'll map out the steps of building business credit. creditsuite.com/consult if you actually want to schedule a consultation with